Today, we're going to be speaking with Mr. Ash Rajan, founder and president at Rajan Private Wealth. Mr. Rajan received an MBA at Loyola College in India, as well as a Master of Science in Finance at Frostburg State University and a Master of Arts in Advertising from the University of Texas at Austin. Prior to starting his own business, he worked at several major finance companies, including Morgan Stanley, Janney Montgomery Scott, Prudential Financial, and Merrill Lynch, where he was the U.S. Chief Investment Strategist. Mr. Rajan has had tremendous success in wealth management, making over 1,500 appearances on CNBC and lecturing in 57 countries spanning 5 continents. Mr. Rajan, thank you so much for sitting down with me today. Let's get started. Please tell us what a wealth manager is, tell us about your journey, and tell us some advice that you would give to high schoolers who are thinking about entering this industry.
Sanvi, thank you for such an articulate and a poignant introduction. Congratulations to your success and for your remarkable initiative to even do this so that your peers, your friends, your colleagues, and broadly the younger generation would get a sort of a peekaboo into the success stories of of people that you're interviewing. And God bless you on your effort and your initiative. So we're going to do this interview a little differently, as I mentioned. I'm not going to be sitting in one place. I will eventually, but right now, all I'm going to be doing is to give you, do a bit of show and tell, if you will, Sangvi, and then connect my answers to that show and tell. So with your permission, I'm going to do just that. I'll start with this. Here we go. This is, if you can see these 4 paintings or art. This is by Pablo Picasso. Can you see the name, Sanvi?
Yes.
Good. And can you see the images?
Mm-hmm.
There are 3 black and white charcoal drawings of Picasso. 1, 2, 3, and 4. As you can see, the 4th one is in color, and the remaining 3 are in black and white. And these are coal drawings that Pablo Picasso, as you know, is a very, very famous artist, in the late 1830s, 19th century. He is Italian, but Spanish rather, but spent most of his time in the south of France. And he invented the concept of cubist paintings. But this is not cubist painting. These look like little doodles, as you can see in charcoal. I'm going to take off that alarm very quickly. Oh, there we go. Right, here we go. Can you see me?
Mm-hmm.
All right, good. So he did most of his art in the south of France, and he went through a phase. He went through many phases of different artworks, and this one is a charcoal rendition that he did, and the theme is bullfights. As you can see, that is a bull arena. You can see the sort of the matador on the horse with a big harpoon spear-like thing. The poor bull is, of course, being affected by all of it. And then there's another matador observing it. In the distance, you can see the spectators. Same thing here, and same thing here. Here, the matador is victorious. Then you see a horseman. So essentially, he did this all 4 in black and white first. He did all 4 of them in coal. His agent, who took his paintings to Paris to sell them at the galleries, was a bit disappointed that Picasso was such a world-famous artist, and he was expecting actual oil on canvas paintings. But instead, he sees these charcoal doodles, and he's very, very disappointed. So he expresses his disappointment to Pablo Picasso, to which Picasso gets very upset because he's an artist, and as you know, artists are very temperamental. So he goes up to his nephew's room, brings down a bunch of crayons, and just informally colors the 4th black and white coal drawing into a colorful crayon drawing. Of course, you can see he's being funny, whimsical, sarcastic, maybe even a bit peeved at his agent, but just to prove that if you really wanted, the flamboyant colors that the agent is expecting, here it is. So this is how Picasso dealt with the world. He was so confident in his work, in his work as an artist, and his talent as an artist. So he didn't want business and mediaries and merchants to be sort of commanding or directing his work. The reason I'm telling you this story, Sanvi, is that storytelling is an art. And that storytelling is perhaps, in my view, in my experience, and in my value system, one of the three pillars of success in any field, in any career, but especially in wealth management. And since you asked what has been the ingredients to success in wealth management, I would say the ability to articulate, the ability to tell a story, the ability to connect with a client and to relate the client's journey, the client's path towards financial success, the client's path towards financial fulfillment, and to weave that in a story form, to keep it engaging, interesting, exciting, is what a true successful wealth manager is all about. Now, I mentioned one of three. Storytelling is one of three virtues or pillars. What are the other two, you may ask? The second one is to be a rainmaker. A rainmaker is defined as one who can make things happen. So if a wealth manager can be a rainmaker for his clients, in the sense that he can or she can identify what what the client's dreams are, what their aspirations are, what their true wishes are, and to be able to fulfill them, at least financially, as a pathway to the rest of the dreams, then that is a very successful wealth manager. So again, virtue number one or pillar number one, the ability to be articulate and to tell a story and to weave the story around the communication with the client, to express their pathways and to navigate their journey and to explain the pitfalls, the risks, the opportunities in all of that's finance to a client is virtue number one. Virtue number two is to identify the dreams, to hear what the dreams are, to listen patiently to a client, a wealth management client, and to understand her or his dreams and to be able to fulfill them. So, as a rainmaker. So, the third, and in my view, equally important as the first and second, is what I call a crisis counselor. Now, that doesn't mean a wealth manager needs to be a psychiatrist or a psychologist, but it does not hurt for that wealth manager to be empathetic, sympathetic, to be able to identify with the client's difficulties along the road, speed bumps, concerns, fears, anxieties, when the markets may be going down or the economy is crumbling or there's a recession and that's affecting the wealth of this client. That's when the wealth manager can intervene and essentially provide a sense of counsel. One, a very patient ear, and two, actions, deliberate actions that one can put together and provide a solution to the client. So I would say the three pillars of wealth management success, at least from my eyes, I'm sure there are several others that other wealth managers might conclude are success ingredients. But to me, one, articulation, the ability to tell a story. Two, to be a rainmaker, a dream maker, a dream fulfiller for their clients. And three, to be a crisis intervener, a crisis consoler, an empathetic, sympathetic, kind, sensitive, and a generous and a gentle demeanor towards your clients. I think are all remarkable ingredients to success. Let me stop there and get a reaction from you, Sangvi. Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely.
There you go. Okay, let's move on. You mentioned my personal journey of being a wealth manager. Now, thank you for attributing success and attributing the adjective of success to my career. I truly appreciate that, and I'm frankly and candidly flattered by that adjective. But having said that, no pain, no gain. Easy as that. No pain, no gain. So in my view, there's a concept called the cake and the icing, or the icing and the cake. You've got to build a cake first, and that's the foundation to your success. The foundation is the cake itself. Once you get the foundation right, then you can build the icing on top of it. So the three pillars I talked about in many ways are the icing to the cake: the concept of storytelling, the concept of dream fulfilling, and the concept of crisis intervening. But the cake or the foundation would obviously have to be education, commitment to knowledge gathering, commitment to observation of facts, commitment to understanding the nuances and skill sets of wealth management. These are foundational facts. And obviously, a training in finance, a keen education relevant to finance. In my case, I got three masters, three MBAs, an MBA in finance, an MBA in international business, and an MS, I must admit, in in business communication. So three masters. I frankly think that's an overkill, candidly, but I did it only because I was so obsessed coming to America back in 1985, 86, that I would have to be twice as good, twice as prepared, in order to just succeed or just make it, leave alone succeed, to survive in the United States. So yes, I did an overkill with my education. You don't have to get three masters, not at all, not even close. But you do have to apply yourself to education and knowledge. And don't be content with a bachelor's. Bachelor's is a great start. But if there's an opportunity for you to fulfill and go to a master's to get even further specialization, or through any kinds of certificate courses, like for instance, in finance, the CFA, the Chartered Financial Analyst program, is a remarkable program for those who are aspiring to be in finance. Similarly, CIMA, similarly CFA, similarly anything to do that's finance related is going to be helpful beyond your master's, but you might have had a sort of a cursory look or feel towards finance and economics, but to go even further and specialize would just make it that much more useful. For instance, planning, financial planning has become a huge movement within wealth management. It's no longer just about recommending stocks and bonds and how the market and how's the economy going, but also particularly looking at ways, truly ways, to alleviate the problems of clients and, as I said, to fulfill their dreams. So in many respects, I would say anything to do with planning, finance management, cost management, in addition to your bachelor's in finance, is good preparation. That's really the cake. Not only is education critical, I would say the adding of education or the melding of education with practical internships and training. So I always insist that young students not only excel at the studies, which they should by working hard and applying themselves, but also to really nail those internships right when they come out of school. That is the first year in college, their junior year, sophomore year, even freshman year for that matter, and then finally into the senior year. Those internships are building blocks to a career in wealth management or to a broad career in finance. It could be a career in investment banking, a career in private equity, a career in mergers and acquisitions or corporate finance, and any aspect of finance, including wealth management. The internships do pave the way for success. So building the foundation or building the cake means nailing down your academics, not just with a bachelor's, but possibly potentially with a master's. And you don't have to get your master's right away. Get your bachelor's, get a bunch of internships, land a good job in finance, train for a couple of years, and then go and do a master's, even better, to fortify your skills. So once you get the foundation down, you now have the cake, and then you apply those three pillars or the icing, you're well on the road to success in wealth management. And that in many ways is my journey, Sanvi. I happen to attribute that to my philosophy, and I executed on that philosophy day in and day out, day in and day out. So I'll stop there and take a reaction and tell me if there's anything else that we could cover in this interview
I would just
from your
say,
three questions.
Your
Go
journey
ahead.
before you formed your business, Rajan Private Wealth, what led you to forming your own business?
Yes, it did. I never believed I had the skill sets of an entrepreneur. In fact, I was darn scared to be one. So I've always took the comfort of being in corporate America, having a regular salaried and bonus jobs. And I rose in that capacity in the comfort of knowing that I'm working for somebody and that I get a paycheck every month. And then I rose promotion after promotion to the corner office or the C-suite, if you will, which was the chief investment strategist role at Merrill Lynch, which I would argue is the pinnacle of my personal success. Uh, First Indian American to achieve that in a large finance firm or a bulge bracket investment firm. So to me, it was personally an honor to have made that cut. And prior to that, at Morgan Stanley, I was the co-head of research, markets research. So that helped again in truly being a student of economics and student of the stock markets and bond markets to get a full footing, if you will. All of that led me to believe, good, yes, I've had the comfort of being in a very, very, very generously paid and compensated profession, being on Wall Street. And when I say I was on Wall Street, I meant Wall Street, New York City. Not a generic term to describe finance, but actually the street, Wall Street in New York is where I had my first job and many years ever since then. So after doing about 27 years of my tour on Wall Street in a salaried capacity as I said, the chief investment strategist at Merrill Lynch, I embarked on starting my own business, my own practice. I certainly had the experience, the knowledge, the years, and the maturity of doing that. I've made my mistakes over the years and I've learned from them. And I'd assembled a reasonable amount of interested people who would work with me or work as or potentially be my clients for a wealth management practice. So that inspired me to start Rajan Private Wealth, which is as embedded in Prudential, the large insurance company as we know it. But the Prudential Investments is the wing that my practice is as constant. And ever since I've not looked back, it's just been one fabulous day after the day after day. Well, every day is a banquet, every meal a party so far. So it's been remarkable in that sense.
Oh, that's
Yes.
great. Well, that's it then. Thank you for answering all my questions.
So there is thank you very much again for this opportunity to sort of tell my story. Again, let me just summarize by saying this. You need the cake and the icing. The cake is your education and your internships and your training. And the icing is your sense of articulation, the sense of being able to tell stories, being a storyteller, and being inspiring and engaging as a communicator. That's skill number one. Skill number two is to be a dream merchant or a rainmaker, to facilitate and enable your clients' dreams and aspirations. But first, of course, you've got to listen to them to know what the dreams are. And three, if they have speed bumps or limitations and obstacles in the way, to be able to crisis counsel and absolve them of those issues. If you did all of that, excuse me, if you had both the cake and the icing, you're off to a great success. But I'll leave you with one thought for all of your friends, and including you, Savi, and that is this. Because our parents are also very well educated, typically, there is a cultural motif within the subcontinent, and from those of us who come from India and other countries in the subcontinent, to be very education centric. And that's a wonderful value. It's a wonderful virtue. So parents love to see us being educated, and hence the reason I brought up the bachelor's and the master's and the internships. But that's, in my view, great. But equally important is the co-curricular activities that's embedded in your education. I would encourage children to take on drama as a co-curricular activity, because drama shapes your articulation, your sense of presence on stage. It boosts your confidence, it boosts your posture, your overtures, your gestures, the nuances of studying other humans and interacting with them. So drama is a big deal, and you can't forfeit that. Or it's debating or elocution. in anything, or written skills too, not just spoken skills in the language, but written skills, cultivating them, essay writing, novel writing, as the case may be, critical writing, creative writing, short story writing, all of that is going to hone your skills to be that so-called storyteller. I did all of that, personally did all of that growing up, being in drama, um, played lead roles in Hello Dolly and other plays, English plays predominantly as a child growing up in India. And while it was formidable and very nervous and nerve-wracking, but I got through it. And today, the art and skill of communication comes to me naturally. And I want that to come naturally to you, Sanvi, and to all of your friends and peers. So it's not just about the core math and physics and sciences and the education, all that's important. But to round it up with the liberal arts and appreciation for the arts, going to museums, understanding artists, understanding sculptors, enjoying that, seeing photography, doing photography, adopting photography as a habit. I've written 4, in fact 5, coffee table books on photography covering wildlife in Africa. I just picked up photography 10 years ago, haven't looked back. All this rounding reflects in your personality and your persona, and that's what your clients in wealth management celebrate. They don't want to meet another salesman. They do not want to meet another nerd, another finance nerd. There's enough of us out there. What they do want to meet is someone who's lively, engaging, charismatic, articulate, fun to be with, and to be able to be that companion and navigator of life. So that's my advice. Best of luck to you, Sanvi, and best of luck to all your friends.
Thank you so much.